This is For Advisors by Advisors. I'm your host, Evan J. Mayer, and today we have a very special guest. He was actually referred by a few different guests, Mr. Keith Wilson.
Hello.
Now, for those of you after this podcast that have a chance, and I'm sure you will Google Keith and you will Google Truthful Mutual and Google everything that he does and see that he is a lot better at this than I ever am. But the concept of what he does is amazing. And if you're not following him on LinkedIn and YouTube and all over the place, you should, because he does these amazing videos. He does this amazing insight, but he makes you laugh, and that's even better. So, Keith, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Keith's the CEO of Wilson Financial Advisors. He is a financial advisor affiliated with LPL. It looks like you've been there since 2012.
12, yes.
And celebrating 10 years coming up here.
That's right. It goes
That's
by
awesome.
fast.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
19 years in the business overall. He's located in Greensboro, North Carolina. We actually had a small little house on a mountain, about 50 acres. We would go up there and we would summer. And it's about 25 minutes from Johnson City, Tennessee. It was in the North Carolina border. Unicoi. We would get in through Unicoi and then go up to the hills. I think the average median income was like $2,000 a year. Are you familiar with that area?
Yeah, that's far west North Carolina.
Yeah, Beulah Dean.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny because I think we were the only Jewish people anywhere in the vicinity of a good hour from where we were, so it was interesting.
Wow.
But they welcomed us in. It was great.
Those are real mountaineers.
They are.
In that southwest corner of North Carolina.
Yeah, they played the banjo, and they like grilling, and they like moonshine, and we had a lot of fun. Keith is also the biggest LinkedIn contributor that I know of. He hosts The Financial Guy. By the way, the Financial Guy podcast, what is that about?
I got a little ahead of myself on that. So I'm just in the process of doing that. I took a couple of months off and some family medical issues, and I'm just now getting into it. And my first inclination was, podcast, but a raw podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not some of the other advisors that are, God bless them, they're doing their thing. That's just not me. I wanted to do something a little spicy, a little raw. And then my son is now on board as a financial advisor. He's been with me for a year now.
Excellent.
We are doing it together. And it's going to be still that Financial Guy show with Keith and Jack. But, we're also going to YouTube it as well. And then Buzzsprout it out into wherever you listen to your podcast.
The famous saying, right?
So, yeah, I think it's going to be cool because it's going to be dad, son playing off of one another. And I mean, we've actually shot a few kind of as a test to see how it work. And stuff will come up like we're talking about insurance. And he says, well, Dad, aren't you on Medicare? I'm like, no, not yet.
How old is Jack?
Jack is 26.
Perfect age to get started.
26. I got started at 23 when I first got into insurance, and then securities came later in around 03 or something like that. But anyway, podcast, we're excited about it. It's going to be different. It's going to be raw. And yes, there are going to be nuggets of information in there, but I want to make it entertaining.
Are you going to keep the comedy? The way I met Keith, for those of you out there, there's a little video series that him and Anthony Ruffalo did called Truthful Mutual. And they're the most phenomenal videos. They're fun. I didn't even come from the insurance business, but I know reps that had to grow up through that. And it's like, hey, the first people we have to bring on are your parents and your sisters and your cousins. And why don't you screw up everybody else's financial picture near you and then kind of throw you to the wolves? There's When Big Mitch Hires Rich. Which is phenomenal. He does a little Wolf of Wall Street bit. And
that one was a rogue because the Truthful Mutual, there's 10 of them, 10 episodes, and it's Rich and Mitch and the young guys and all that stuff. And when was it? It may have been in 2020 when I did that. Whatever the case, I came up with this great idea of Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm going to do Leo is the young Rich and Matthew McConaughey is Big Mitch, hiring him. And I was coming up with ideas with Ruff because we couldn't get together for whatever reason. I said, all you got to do is green screen yourself, just sitting down. I can put you in there And he, nah, that's going to look stupid. And I said, all right, forget about it. Then I said, nope, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to use Leo and put myself in the scene of that movie, because it wasn't really interjecting ourselves in the movie. We were just going to use some of those lines. And I just said, do you mind if I just do it without you?
It's phenomenal. The Tic Tacs, the whole
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
it's brilliant. It's funny. I'm hosting a client appreciation dinner in a couple months, and we have some comedians coming in, and I'm like, yeah, is there anything you can do with a financial tune? And it's, you actually are able to bring finance and make it funny. It's rare. It's a rare talent. It's awesome that you're honing in on it and you're kind of exposing us as financial advisors to be able to enjoy it, because I think we're your only audience that's truly going to enjoy it to the extent as probably the show is. So I can relate. Anthony had said you have a background in this prior to being a financial advisor. What was kind of your
yeah.
background in this?
Yeah, I mean, in college, I got a broadcast engineer degree. That
Okay.
sounds great, doesn't it? Well, that was 40 years ago. So 40 years, I wanted to be in TV production, editing, directing, not in front of the camera, obviously, but I was just enamored with editing and directing. And I took all these cinema classes and just fell in love. That's what I wanted to do. And as soon as I got out of college, fluke, this insurance agency hires me. Huh, it sounds familiar, doesn't it? But back then, 40 years ago, nothing was digital. I mean, I was editing 8 millimeter tapes and, or film and big VHS tapes and stuff like that. So the technology was nowhere near what it is now. But I still kept that desire.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, I've always, I mean, I was the one at 16 had the big old camcorder, you know, how you put it on
Yeah.
your shoulder. And I was editing back there then home movies, and I did stop action movies and stuff like that. And then I kind of got away with it from it and just got busy with life and kids and work and so forth. And then it was a few years ago, my assistant was saying, you got to do video. Because back then, well, I say back then, that was like 4 years ago. Exactly. I mean, if you recall all the canned stuff on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
I'm not going to name, there are companies out there that, hey, we got the articles and you can set it and forget it. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll just post it to Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and you don't have to do anything. I said, cool. I don't, fine. Well, you get nothing off of that, zero. And that's when assistant said, no, you got to do video. You got to do video. And my first video, I took my phone, I taped it to my computer monitor as a tripod, and I had a button down sweater, man. I was like Mr. Professor. Hello, my name is Keith Wilson. It took me 4 hours to shoot a 30-second video.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, that is not me at all. If I'm going to do this, let me get back to editing. And I just went overboard. I've got, I'll guarantee I got $25,000 sitting up here.
Yeah, but you know what? It's so authentically you. And again, I don't know
Well,
you.
maybe
It's the
not
first
too
time we're talking, but what I love about it is that you're doing it right. You're going to do something, you do it right.
Yeah. And I love doing it. A lot of people don't want to get into that, but that's when I started to do the fun stuff and editing. And I think Anthony and I started at the same time on LinkedIn. Then I became a student of LinkedIn. Oh man, I'm scrolling and seeing what other people are doing. I try to mimic them. Again, that's not me. I said, no, I'm going to do something different. And then I started doing little movie clips inside. And then I would do funny antics, but I would not dare post that on LinkedIn back then. This is Facebook stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do the Facebook. And the LinkedIn, I just kept the normal, steady thing. And then I asked my assistant that one time I thought it was an awesome video. I forgot what it was. It was funny and it was educating. I said, should I put that on LinkedIn? She said, why not? I said, but they're professional people, you know, and I was so scared. And I hit the post button. Whew. It blew up and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to keep doing that. And it just got traction and I forgot about being scared about putting myself out there and just be yourself and have a funny story to say. And yeah, every once in a while you got to do what I call real stuff.
Yeah, with that stuff, truth be told, I was inside of the bank channel for a very long time, and the automatic weekly post, believe it or not, it's you've been at LPL for a while now, but you couldn't do what I'm doing or you couldn't do what you're doing on any of the employee channels. And so a lot of the advisors that do those, it's almost it's futile. People don't see it, but it's the same person posting the same crap over and over and over and over again.
And what's funny, you've seen the same article from 5 different,
Yeah,
bless their hearts, they're kind of stuck.
they are.
That's all they can do. But
There's the benefit, one of the benefits of being independent is obviously the ability to do what you're doing. And LPL, I mean, yeah, you and Anthony both kind of started splashing onto the scene in 2019. And I think I transitioned, and I got to be careful in 2022 saying transition, but I transitioned in 2022 to independent. And
it's transitory, man.
yeah, transitory, exactly. I was watching you guys during that year, and I'm like, it kind of, I'm not saying it made my mind up of where I wanted to go, but the freedom and flexibility was a big thing. You're a huge golfer too, and I'm starting to notice a lot. I'm a big golfer, by the way. You ever come down to Florida, you got an invite to the club. But I watch some of your golf videos, which you're always correlating whatever you're doing to finance. That's fun because I do the same thing when I'm on a golf course.
Yeah. Well, I used to play all the time. I was shooting in the 70s all the time. And then family, and then that just kind of stopped. And I took probably a 10, 12-year hiatus from
Yeah.
golf altogether. And then my boys, we got an Oculus game. You know what that is? With the goggles?
Yep.
They got one for Christmas, or we gave them one for Christmas. They're 26 and 27 years old. It's almost like they're little boys, but they wanted one. I'm fine, I get it. And my wife says, "Do you want one of these?" No, what? I don't want that. I'm not going to walk around with these stupid goggles. They got this golf game. They brought it home, and they were showing me how they could play each other. I said, "Okay, I got to get one." And she gave me one for my birthday, and all 3 of us were playing in our respective homes, and we're talking to each other. And then Caleb, my oldest, said, "I'd really like to play real golf because it looked so easy on that little game, you know?" And Jack was like, "Yeah, me too." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And we started with par 3 and teaching them. And then we graduated to the real golf course. Now we're playing every week.
That's awesome.
The bug has bitten them, and I'm getting back into it. And then the way the golf videos came about, when we were playing golf, Caleb shanked it or whatever, and that was his club and all this stuff. And I said, boys, golf is a lot like life. And I was saying, sometimes you get down, you got to go forward. And that just transitioned almost every hole. Golf is a lot like women. Golf is a lot like this. And then I said, you know what? Golf is a lot like financial planning. And so Jack says, we got to do that.
Yeah.
And so we just went out on the golf course and asked them, do you mind if we just drive around and shoot some shots without paying? They said, knock yourself out. So because you can correlate financial planning and golf all day long with everything.
Yep.
So I said, I'm going to do that for the summer golf. And I think it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Awesome. So Keith, tell us a little bit about your history. I saw you were at Pro Equities for 8 years. Now you do the Truthful Mutual. I know Anthony comes from that insurance background. Was Pro Equities an insurance background, or how'd you kind of,
the Truthful Mutual was a brainchild of Ruff, but we both did come from the same insurance background. So I started in insurance, and it was Medicare, long-term care, fixed indexed annuities and all that stuff. And it was senior market stuff. And I was with a captive agency, and the head honcho, the CEO of this agency, offices all over the country, and he was based in Florida. And I eventually became manager at 25 years old or something like that. I mean, and once you became a manager, he treated you like dirt, man. You didn't recruit. That was the biggest thing. You got to recruit, get bodies, masses of asses in your office. And so a lot of that Truthful Mutual that I do comes from that. There's one episode where I'm crawling on the table to this advisor, and I'm yelling. I said, "You live, eat, breathe, whole life insurance." That came from the CEO did that. He crawled on a table to me and saying, "You jackass," and "you this," and all of that. So that's where the background comes for me. It
Well, that
wasn't,
that actually happened in real life. That's
yes, that happened in real life.
interesting.
I went out on my own after 2.5 years, and it was still Medicare, it was still senior market. And then I built my own agency. I had agents, and I mean, I preached to them. I said, look, you can't put everything in an annuity. You can't put somebody's life savings. All we want is a little slice to make that commission.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, why don't we become the real thing, the total picture, financial, so we can do securities and we can do investment advisory. And when an annuity is appropriate, sure, do that. And that's when in '03, I think, became securities license. And I've turned over, this is 15 years ago, the whole senior market Medicare stuff to my wife.
Okay.
So she does all that, and she's just doing Medicare, but all I'm doing is advisory and financial planning.
And Pro Equity, so you left there and you went independent in 2012 and kind of opened up your own spot.
Well, Pro Equities was independent.
Okay.
They were an independent broker dealer, but Pro Equities is owned by Protective Life Insurance Company.
Ah, okay.
So they only became a broker dealer. They only had 900 advisors nationwide. They only became a broker dealer or had that side to cater to their insurance agents that says, hey, every once in a while I want to sell a mutual fund. Okay.
Got it.
But they pushed, and they had their little contest and all this stuff, but it was all insurance based.
So, I mean, your practice is extremely unique because of the use of social media. Do you find yourself getting competitive with other people that are out there? Now, like in my expertise, I think you're probably the best at it. You and Anthony are probably the best at it. But is there a competitive nature as you see some of the other advisors? You're like, I could do that so much better, or?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's how it started. And it started with Ruffalo. I'll say this, and I've told him to his face, I've told many people, I did not like him. Well, it was jealousy, it was what it was. Because actually we both started late 18 and really started gun forward early 2019. Because I'm saying, if I'm that kind of a guy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to edit and do all this stuff. I'm going to make it production value and all of this. And he was constantly on there, but he was like, I don't mean to see Ruffalo and all this. But his big face was in the screen, and he was getting all this traction. And then he started doing the little movie clips. He may have started that before I did. And I said, doggone it, that's rough. And so we started to trade punches a little bit and little jabs and so forth. And then I did a video, and it was for everybody, I think. And it was about my process. And it was just a spoof. And I was out on the street. Oh, this is how I get YouTube subscribers. And I had a little poster, subscribe. And I did this whole thing. And then he retorted with just shot a missile over my bow, and he was doing something else. And he was Mr. Jumpsuit Man. So he was snapping his fingers. And every time he snapped, new jumpsuit was coming.
Yep.
I said, okay, that's good editing. Okay. But he took a shot at me, and then I came back because we had kind of halfway been talking at that point, maybe hinting at a collaboration. And then I took a shot back, and there at the end, I said, wait a minute, maybe you and I should have a collaboration. And then boom, we got married. And I went down to meet him. Most genuine person. You've got to meet him. I know it's hard, but what you see on the screen is really what he is. But he's also a little more relaxed when you meet him in person. But he's a genuine person. I consider him my best friend. We talk all the time, not just about business, but he's a great dude. But competition wise, he's the one that kind of started me. But now, yeah, I got to say, a year ago, I started this thing. I got mad. I'm scrolling. I said, doggone it, Joe Blow Advisor, if you only would have done this in your video, it would have been perfect. I'm thinking to myself. And so I did a video, and I said, I critiqued somebody's video without them knowing it. I said, here, and it was Eric Boyum. If he's ever listening, he'll know. I showed his and I said, hey, this was good. I did a screen share and I did the whole thing. And I opened it up and I said, okay, this is what I'm offering. Because at that point, I really got traction and people knew about my videos. If you need help with your videos, call me. Let me know. If you want to know what kind of camera, you want to know how to edit, I'm opening it up as a community service. I should have never done that because I got flooded with it. But competition wise, yeah, not so much now. Now look, there are a couple that, oh my God, Michael McKelvey is just brilliant. He's movie star quality stuff. His stuff that he does. And he was on Truthful Mutual one time. We got him as a guest star, but
When you initially started the videos in 19, LPL seems to be a little bit more lax on some of the stuff that you guys can do, which is a very positive thing because you're not talking about products or anything like that. You're just educating and having fun. Early on, was there big compliance issues that you kind of had to overcome, or have they just always been more on the forefront of using technology?
they're on the forefront. They want you to be on social. They want you to be independent. So number one, they have what is called social patrol.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have to have that integrated into LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
which means we don't have to submit something prior to doing it. We just shoot a video and post it. And artificial intelligence will screen it. And if something's wrong, like you say, guarantee this or that, then you got to take it down. I've never had that happen. I mean, we're trained to know what to say and what not to
Yeah,
say.
of course.
So that's YouTube's different because I'm really concentrating my efforts on YouTube. So YouTube, I've got a great compliance guy that once you know the system, all right, write the script, submit the script. This is what I'm going to say. Okay, it's approved with these disclosures. Cool. Shoot the video, pretty much say what you're going to, the script says, submit the video. And he approves my scripts in one day, video the next day. It's no problem.
That's great.
But you got to know, you can't go overboard and talk about specific products and things like that. So mine are more educational tutorial. What's the difference between a Roth and a traditional? Why you should consider not maxing out your 401k, things like that.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. They are on the forefront. I am starting to see other firms, many of the competitors now starting to get, I wouldn't call it lax too. I would call it, as you know, more realistic.
Accepting. Yeah, they're more accepting.
More accepting, yeah. Which is what I think this business needs. Keith, you're using all this technology. You're having fun. You're enjoying it. You're creating something with your son. You're doing all this exciting things. What do you see like for Jack? Jack's 26. What do you see? Where's this business evolving in 10, 15 years? Does it always eventually come back to the financial planning? Or there's a lot of push on some firms for robo-advisors and doing things automated. I always found that to be, most people want somebody they can speak to when making big financial decisions. Where do you see the business in 10, 15, 20 years?
I think it's going to be a bit of a hybrid. So we're having, believe it or not, one of the best years we've had in client acquisitions. Obviously the market and all that stuff, but essentially my AUM is even a little more than it was January 1 because of the client acquisitions. And I credit that to YouTube and video content everywhere and Google because it all trickles down to that. So videos are an indirect thing that will drive business to you. I said all that to say we're getting a lot of younger folks just booking appointments. And so I'm seeing like,
and the younger folks are coming from the posts that you're doing?
they're a mixture. I just got a client last week. I'm buckling them up tomorrow that saw a YouTube video and called from there. So others are just Googling financial advisors near me. And I've studied this, the algorithm with Google, the more content, especially YouTube, because they're married, the more content you've got out there, you were pushed up in the search. And so now we're seeing younger folks that want financial planning. I mean, they want it. Now they call it different things. On the booking calendar, it'll say, I need help with finances. What does that heck does that mean? It means different things. Some of them say, I want to start investing, but most of them are, I need a plan. I want the children college education, and retirement is on my mind. And these are high income earners, a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
I said, just met with, actually, Jack closed it up yesterday. 29-year-olds, very high income earners. And
And
now they're,
the millennials and the Generation Zs are finally coming around to day trading isn't financial planning, and there's a need.
that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm hearing, where they'll say, yeah, I had this Robinhood account.
Yeah.
I bought GameStop and I bought this, and they're saying, and I was just playing and not knowing what I'm doing. I need help. So I still see financial planning in the future, but I do see that segment of a hybrid robo. And there's a platform LPL has just for that reason.
Yeah, for the robo advisors. And
But to some people, they're going to pay it. I think subscription is the next thing, where they pay whatever, $400 a month just to have you as their financial advisor.
yeah, it's similar to a fee-based model, but more in a subscription model where it's a flat fee kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely seeing wants for that and needs for that. So it's interesting where the business goes. Specifically, the wirehouses are now kicking out any free-thinking people and kind of hiring salary younger people to run maybe these subscription services. We are seeing that. In your opinion, you've been in the business now for a long time. If you were driving home from the show, I always ask this question, pose this question, but you're driving home and you're like, there's one thing I really think that would be important for financial advisors to hear. What would that be?
Well, just based on my age, I'm 56, been doing, you add total the insurance and this, it's like 33 years. Be willing to adapt. Be willing to adapt to the new technology, to a new type of client base, and do not be scared to go an independent way if that's calling you. So I think adapt or die is the thing.
Is the mantra.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, your niche is in doing this. At this point, by bringing Jack on, your son, and all the time that you're spending doing this, and I always say, this is not, when people ask me about taking on this podcast, you're my 20th episode, by the way, and we've been doing it a month, and realistically,
wow, that's
it's
a lot of episodes.
a lot of episodes. Yeah, I think we got 20 people lined up for the month of October too. So
wow.
The concept of doing it has not been work; it's been fun, and that's kind of been the difference. Where even when I'm sitting down with clients, yeah, it's fun, but you end up doing the same planning over and over and over again. This adds some sort of creativity to what you do on the planning side that actually makes your job more fun to come into. Do you agree with that?
1000%. It's almost an outlet. I don't want to call it a hobby because now it is actually starting to produce some money. In the beginning, it wasn't, but it's an outlet. I tell people this, I'm combining two passions. I still have a passion for financial planning, but I have a passion for video and creation, and I can put those two together. And I think that is awesome. There are other advisors that hate doing any of this, or maybe okay, I'll sit in front of the camera, but I don't want to do all of this. Just let me talk. And I think that's great if you can pay somebody to do all that, but I enjoy all the other stuff as well. So 1000%, when you can combine those two, it keeps your sanity almost. It's like you said, you're doing the same thing and you're dealing with numbers, like Wolf of Wall Street guy. So this is a great way to combine both of them.
I actually quoted you in an episode I haven't released yet on transcendental meditation, on how important that's been for me in getting rid of the numbers. And I quoted your analogy in the Wolf of Wall Street that some people need cocaine or
hookers.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. Or in your case, it was, what was it? Tic Tacs. That meditation's been extremely helpful. So anyway,
well, it was Tic Tacs and Xbox. What is it?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. So Keith, amazing to have you on. I really appreciate your time today. I did not know you started 3 years ago, and just watching where you've come from and where you're going is really exciting. And again, you add something to the financial advisors. Yeah, maybe there's the underlying concept of getting clients from what you do, but at the end of the day, I think it's the advisor and the advisor community that I'll go ahead and say thank you for entertaining us on there, because for the ones that can post or the ones that can't post that are at some of the firms they can't, at least they get to see you doing what you're doing. And the part that you said here today, that find what makes you free, and if it's not where you're at, make a move. I think that's a really smart piece of advice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Well,
Reaching out to other advisors. Hopefully we don't have to pay a subscription or anything like that.
no. I want the Joe Rogan. I'll just start pitching supplements before and during the call. But
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Give me a video idea that you'd like to see.
Oh, that's on the spot. Can I email you?
You can email me.
Yeah.
What I like to do is the movies where I put myself into the actual movie, kind of like The Wolf of Wall Street.
You know what I'd like to see? So I'll give you my favorite movie, and I'll see if how you can adapt it. So the movie Casino with Robert De Niro, when he's standing in front of the thing and he's talking about everything, the eye is watching the eye in the sky, and I'm watching them all, that part in the scene, and maybe some sort of something that can go on there. Give it some thought.
That's my De Niro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
I'll make it work.
Hey, Keith, if anybody listening to the show, how can they get a hold of you?
You can call me. Just go to my LinkedIn profile. Just Keith Wilson. Look for Keith Wilson. All my contact info is there. Call me, DM me. I still reach out. I still get advisors contacting me all the time about help with their videos. I still offer that as a service.
Awesome. Yeah, just so you guys know, I did message Keith, and he got back to me right away, and very reactive. Of course, you can reach out to me. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Follow Keith if you're not following him. Extremely entertaining. I don't think we're all made to do what he does on there. He's a talented guy and very enjoyable. So again, this is For Advisors by Advisors. You know where to find us on anywhere podcasts are. So thanks so much, Keith.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.